The consequences of war and human rights abuses are devastating. Societies are fractured. Homes, lives, and families are torn apart. When a family member goes missing, the pain of loss is made worse by the agony of uncertainty. Not knowing the fate of a missing loved one keeps the pain acute, every day, no matter how many years have gone by. For societies with large numbers of missing persons, this unresolved issue can stand in the way of reconciliation. Grieving family members can become a rallying point for instability, and numbers of missing are often manipulated by former combatants for political gain. The bitterness caused by leaving the issue unresolved can prolong a cycle of violence. Resolving the fate of the missing and establishing the truth about numbers of victims are important steps towards providing justice, helping to heal a society, opening paths for dialogue, and ultimately helping to solidify and stabilize a peace process. The International Commission on Missing Persons, or Icmp, was established in 1996 to help governments address the problem of persons missing as a result of armed conflicts and crimes against humanity. In the former Yugoslavia, where Icmp began its work, unresolved questions about the numbers of killed and missing from the Second World War had fanned the flames of conflict decades later. Funded by governments, Icmp has developed a unique combination of political expertise and scientific innovation that's helping to resolve the fate of missing persons around the world. Icmp's scientific expertise is increasingly used by criminal courts trying war crimes cases. Establishing the truth can help to remove the impunity that war criminals and dictators often feel gives them the freedom to make people disappear in the first place. As a humanitarian measure, Icmp is also helping to bring closure for families of disaster victims. Icmp assisted the governments of Thailand, the Maldives and the Solomon Islands in identifying victims of the 2004 Asian tsunami. Icmp also DNA profiled bones of Hurricane Katrina victims to assist in identification efforts. Icmp experts were consulted in planning for the DNA identification of victims of the 2001 attack on the World Trade Center in New York. Exhumations of mass graves in the former Yugoslavia, which began in the mid-1990s, unearthed thousands of victims. And with the remains mostly beyond recognition, the task of identification was all but impossible. Identifications at the time were made based on so-called traditional techniques, looking at factors such as age, size or gender, or from clothing or personal effects. Usually, a combination of these methods was used to make what's known as a presumptive identification. The science of DNA testing, which was quite new in the 1990s, was often used to confirm a presumptive identification or to prove it wrong. Unfortunately, traditional identifications were so difficult to make, they were often proved wrong by DNA. And so, in 1999, Icmp launched a revolutionary effort to find a new way to identify victims, using DNA as the primary tool of identification. That meant developing databases of DNA profiles of bone samples taken from remains found in grave sites, and DNA profiles of family members of the missing, taken from blood samples. Icmp also created software that would compare the two databases to find DNA matches between family members and remains of victims. Although at the time many scientists said mass DNA identifications couldn't be done, the Icmp system has proved enormously successful and thousands of DNA matches have been made. Icmp is also using DNA to reassociate or put back together remains that have become separated. In many of the secondary mass graves from Srebrenica, for example, parts of bodies are often found in different areas of a grave, or even in different mass graves. DNA is just one of ICMP's forensic science tools. ICMP also has archaeologists who are pioneering new methods to find mass graves and lending crucial expertise in excavating grave sites. Forensic anthropologists examine human remains, providing more evidence about the victim and helping to distinguish between siblings who share DNA from the same parents. As well as developing cutting-edge scientific tools, ICMP has developed specialized political expertise that's helping governments formulate policies that will be appropriate and effective in addressing missing persons issues. The 2005 launch of the Missing Persons Institute in Bosnia-Herzegovina as a long-term national mechanism to address the issue is an important example. Developed by ICMP, the Institute will search for all missing persons in Bosnia-Herzegovina, regardless of their ethnic group or religion. ICMP is also working with the government of Iraq on the development of a national centre on missing and detained persons. Another important policy issue concerns family members of the missing, who suffer from a variety of practical problems. They're often financially vulnerable, and uncertainty over the fate of a family member can lead to difficulties in inheritance, pensions and marital status. ICMP has worked with the governments of Bosnia-Herzegovina, Iraq, Croatia and Kosovo to address such difficulties through the development of laws on missing persons. Guided by the expertise of ICMP, in 2004, Bosnia-Herzegovina became the first country in the world to pass a law on missing persons. A central theme running through all of the work of ICMP is the family members of the missing. ICMP actively reaches out to family members to collect blood samples for DNA comparison, as in this appeal to Kosovo family members. It also works with associations of family members, advocating on their behalf and, most importantly, helping them to help themselves. ICMP informs family members about ways in which they can help to find the truth about their missing. It forges links between family members and decision makers, helping families to wield influence in issues of truth, justice and reconciliation. ICMP believes that families can play a crucial role in addressing the missing persons issue through advocacy, education, data collection and raising public awareness. The expertise that ICMP has developed comes together to form a unique and comprehensive system in addressing the missing persons issue. From assisting governments in taking on responsibility for the issue, providing the technical means to find the missing and establish their identity, and in helping family members to become powerful advocates in resolving the fate of the missing, ICMP provides a coordinated and effective response to the missing persons issue.